I want to welcome everybody to our first class for today. Well, this is not our first, but our second class for today, which is our Aqidah class. And for this class, we've been discussing the principle and concept of Wal Bara, or allegiance, having allegiance to Allah, having allegiance to His Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, having allegiance to each other and to the religion. And a lot of Muslims ask the question, Sister Layla, why is it that nowadays Muslims are so quick to violate what Allah and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? For example, one of the sisters was sharing with me earlier how she shared, we're supposed to take whatever knowledge that we have and share it with the people that we love. Allah tells us to save your soul and your family from the hellfire. So she said that one of her siblings was arching her eyebrows. And she told her, she said, astaghfirullah, you're not supposed to remove any of the hair like that, from your eyebrows. She said, oh, well, I'm not cutting them. We're threading. I'm just cleaning them up by threading them. She was threading through them. And she said, it doesn't matter how you remove it. She said, Allah doesn't say, or the Prophet didn't say, you can do everything. You can do anything except cut it. He said, don't remove it. She said, do not remove the hair from your eyebrows, because this is changing the creation of Allah. Allah created us to have human beings to have eyebrows. Allah did not create us without eyebrows, although there are some people that have a disease, but that's different. So she said she showed that hadith to her. Not only did she explain the hadith, but she also showed it to her because she had my PowerPoint. And she said her sister said, I don't care. I'm going to still thread my eyebrows because this is what it means to me. So she said she became angry at her sister, and she asked, Sister Layla, why? What makes people respond that way? I mean, we're all supposed to believe in Allah. And my sister, she says she believes in Allah. But I showed her the hadith and she didn't care. I said, well, that shows that she really doesn't believe in Allah. And this is something that we have to understand. To say you believe in Allah, this is what Allah tells us in the Quran. Simply saying that we believe in Him is not enough. It's just the tongue. As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained, you have to, believing in Allah consists of not just a statement saying you believe, but if that statement is followed up by actions. If you truly believed in Allah, you would never deliberately, intentionally disobey Him. And that's what separates the true believers from the mere Muslim. A lot of us are Muslim. Like I told her, your sister prays, your sister fasts, your sister gives in charity, your sister even dresses correctly. She's obedient to her parents. She does all the other stuff, but she just chooses to not do this part. So that shows that she has some components of hypocrisy within her heart. And what is hypocrisy? Hypocrisy is another form of disbelief. So even though she says that she believes in Allah, in reality, she has disbelief in her heart still too. We'll never, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you will never become a true believer until you take all that hypocrisy out of your heart and learn to submit. That's what Muslim means. Submit. That's what Islam is. Give total submission to Allah. And that's what the Prophet meant when he said, he was asked the question, what's the difference between a believer and a Muslim? He said, well, number one, the believer would never, ever, ever intentionally, knowingly, deliberately disobey Allah. because the believer is one who submits himself to what Allah says. So like I told her, if your sister were a true believer, when you showed her the hadith and explained the meaning to her about removing her eyebrows, she would have said, I hear and I obey. And that's what Allah says in the Quran. The believers, when they hear the words of Allah recited to them, when the believers hear the words of Allah rehearsed to them, they have nothing else to say except I hear you and I obey you. You guys understand? So that's the difference. And that is why a lot of Muslims choose to pick what they want from this religion, because they really don't believe in Allah. They may believe in him in some things that he says, but total submission. Remember, Islam. What is Islam? Islam is total submission. That means I'm not going to pick and choose what to believe. I am not going to pick and choose what to submit to. I submit to everything my Lord says. Once the proof, as Allah says in the Quran, once the proof has been manifest to me, I have nothing else to say except I hear you, Allah, and I obey you. Y'all understand that? The same with the brothers who asked me about the hadiths. You know, Sister Layla, why is it that people don't want to accept the hadiths? You guys heard Dr. Asim. Dr. Asim said that even Arabs. Dr. Asim is my Arabic cousin. He's Egyptian. Okay, what did he say? He was on a chat program and he said he couldn't walk away. These were Arabs. Other Egyptians and other Arabs, they started arguing about the hadiths, talking about how the hadiths are nothing, how we don't accept all of them. And they were talking about Bukhari hadiths. We don't accept that. Islam is just the Quran. Islam is just the Quran. These people believe in only the Quran. You'd be surprised how many Arabs do not believe in the Sunnah. They only believe in the Quran. And like Dr. Asim said, he couldn't leave out. He had to check them and let them know, this is not a believer. If the true believer, Allah says, obey me and obey the messenger. You don't accept the hadiths. That means you don't accept what the Prophet Muhammad said or did. You don't accept him. Obey me and obey the messenger. You would submit. So a lot of us, we don't take the hadiths because we don't believe in the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't believe in his status and what he was, what he is to us. We rather take our personal scholars, our personal imams, and make them prophets over him. And that's what we see together, especially with the youth, Arabic and non-Arabic. Worshiping men of today. It's all about what their sheikh said. It's all about what the sheikh. It ain't about what Ibn Abbas said. It ain't about what Ibn Umar said. It ain't about what Aisha said. It's about what the sheikh said. These people don't really believe, even though they say they do. Allah tells us in the Quran, the best of this nation were those companions who were with the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are pleased with Allah, and as he is pleased with them. They will be of those 75,000 that will not be held accountable on the day of judgment. And as Allah himself says, no one understands this religion better than they do. And that's why I tell you guys, there are no gray areas. When it comes to the lawful and the unlawful in Islam, there are no gray areas, because Allah tells us that he perfected this deen. He did not leave anything out, nor did he forget anything. And as our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told us, the religion, the lawful and the unlawful are clear. And your Lord never forgets. The things that Allah does not mention are lawful. The things that the Prophet didn't mention are lawful. Y'all understand that? If Allah doesn't mention it in the Quran, if the Prophet Muhammad doesn't mention it in an authentic hadith, it's lawful. That means it's good and clean. As the Prophet said, we have to submit and accept the concessions of Allah and keep our personal feelings out. The religion it's clear. Those are clear verses. Okay? So we have to learn to accept what Allah says, and we have to learn to accept what he doesn't mention too. And of course, everything's not going to be listed, but believe you me, it falls in a category. Give me something. Ask me any question, and I'll tell you the answer and what category it falls in. For example, where does Allah mention cocaine? Allah doesn't mention cocaine. Oh, do y'all think he didn't? Yes, he did. Allah didn't mention marijuana. Yes, he did. Allah didn't mention heroin. Yes, he did. Allah didn't mention crank. Yes, he did. Allah didn't mention meth. Yes, he did. Where's my dalil? The hadith of the Prophet. You got to learn those hadiths. The hadiths are the explanation of the Quran. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said anything that befogs the mind is considered an intoxicant. So that's everything. That's marijuana. Marijuana befogs the brain. It's an intoxicant and it's haram. Meth befogs the brain. It's an intoxicant. It's haram. So again, I want all of you Muslims to understand there are no gray areas. None. Kaput. None. When it comes to the lawful and unlawful. The hadith where the Prophet said, mention gray areas, he said the gray areas apply to you. He said there are some things that you don't know. There are some areas of the religion that you don't understand. So you stay away and go ask the people of knowledge. But don't you dare say that Allah forgot something, because he didn't forget nothing. Y'all get it? A sister said the Prophet didn't mention eyelashes. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He said anyone who attaches hair, lengthens the hair, that includes fake eyelashes. Hello, what are fake eyelashes doing? They're lengthening. You're attaching to the hairs of my eyes, and you're lengthening them. Throw anything at Layla. See, I know the Sunnah. I know them hadiths. So I don't want to hear none of you as students of mine saying that there's something gray. There are not any gray areas when it comes to the lawful and the unlawful. And this is what Sheikh Morsi wants you guys to understand too. I told my students that yesterday, and Sheikh Morsi wants to make sure it's emphasized. When it comes to the lawful and unlawful, the religion is clear. Nothing gray. Y'all understand? But like he said, you have to ask the people of knowledge. Ask us. If it's something I don't know, I'm going to call him. If it's something he don't know, he's going to call somebody over him. We'll find out. But ain't nothing gray when it comes to lawful and unlawful. Everybody understand that? Fingernail polish. It's not a gray area. Allah didn't mention it. There is no nas. There's no nas on it. There's no nas. So what does that mean? Students, since there's nothing in the Quran that mentions anything about you using fingernail polish, and since there's no hadith on planet Earth that mentions it, what does that mean, sisters? What does it mean? Say it again.
That is lawful.
It's lawful. There are no gray areas. The prophet said the things not mentioned are lawful. You better accept it, brothers. You brothers have to learn to accept the deen in its totality, especially in regards to women, because a lot of you brothers have hang-ups about women. But you're going to come upon a woman like me who ain't got no hang-up. And I'm going to break you. I'm going to break you. So y'all brothers, be careful. A lot of Arab women like me. You can't break us. We know our deen. But we can break you because we know yours too. Get them beards together. Stop trimming. What's up with this? Let's talk about it. You brothers, what's up with this trimming the beard crap? What's up? You brothers better stop trimming that beard. The prophet said, trim the mustache. Leave the beard alone. You want to talk about women? You brothers have strayed far from the path. Let's talk about you brothers is trying to be like women with them tight pants. Hello? You think it's lawful for you men be walking around them tight jeans, showing your front parts? Y'all better get it together, because you're going to find a woman like Layla who will break you. You understand? Learn the deen, sisters. Learn the deen. There are no gray areas with lawful or unlawful. Either it's haram or it's not. Period. And the prophet said nobody can make things haram that Allah didn't make. Only Allah has the authority, not a scholar. Sheikh doesn't cannot make anything haram. He doesn't have that authority. The only one who has the authority to make anything unlawful is Allah. And if he didn't make it unlawful, shut up. The Prophet Muhammad taught the companions, shut up and submit. And they did. They did. They kept their opinions out. Everybody understand that? A lot of the Muslim women back in the day, they couldn't, when Allah sent down the rights of the right hand possessions, the captives of war, a lot of the Muslim women couldn't understand. Well, even though she's not your wife, so why do you have to provide for her? They couldn't understand that, because before Islam, a man didn't care about his slave. He prostituted her. She had no rights. But when Allah sent down the rights commanding the brothers that they could have 4 wives and all the right hand possessions they want, but you have to feed them and care for them, and their children are yours, the women went crazy. I'm your wife. She's not. What do you mean you have to take care of her? I'm your wife. She's not. She's got children. What do you mean her children are your children too? The women had a hard time with that. So the prophet said, accept what Allah says. Whether you understand it or not, just shut up. He told the women, shut up. Shut up with all the bickering y'all doing. Shut up and submit. And they submitted. Didn't make sense to them. that a slave woman was cared for just like she was. It didn't make sense that the son of a slave had the same rights as my son. But those women shut up and they submitted. And that's what I'm telling you brothers to do. You men, shut up and submit. Don't ever make the Muslims think that Allah forgot something. There are absolutely no gray areas when it comes to lawful and unlawful. You're saying that Allah did not perfect this deen. You're saying that Allah forgot something. No, he didn't. It's just that you don't understand. So shut up. Okay? Is that clear? So these sisters, you guys doing all that arguing in this group right here, did y'all hear me? Y'all shut it up. You got it? And don't ever accuse Allah of being forgetful. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to be talking about how it's so hard. It's so hard to implement that allegiance to Allah and that allegiance to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that allegiance to the religion, especially when we're living in a non-Muslim country, because we're so easily influenced. A lot of you are converts and used to living based off of your own desires and your own opinions. Somebody take care of that person there. I hope I got moderators on YouTube. Do I have moderators on YouTube? I need y'all for a reason, because our subscribers are growing and I don't need no Christians, but Jesus love me in here. So y'all get these Jesus love me out of here. Y'all see that? Do I have any moderators in there? Is anybody there? I'm not going to do the class until y'all get them out. I got about 20. Okay, I got 20 moderators. I want y'all to be on it, because the Christians are starting to come in here and Layla ain't got time. Okay. All right. So it's hard, very hard to implement Wal Bara or allegiance and disassociation when a lot of us come from non-Muslim backgrounds, or we live in a country like America where you have the freedom and right to be gay, the freedom and right to be a thumper or whatever you want to do. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me put the PowerPoint up and let me switch. Y'all work with me. I'm working on I'm using, okay. Yeah, she got them out. Now they text me about the Christians. I got moderators in there taking them out. Okay. Yeah. So y'all just bear witness. Just be patient. When y'all start texting me, it's going to make my anxiety, because the sisters in this group already got me all anxious with the arguing and fighting that they're doing in this group here. I don't know why you sisters it's just ridiculous. Hold on. So don't make me nervous. Hold on. Let me get this stuff off the screen too. Okay. I'm taking everything down. And by the way, guys, please take screenshots. That's why I'm taking all this stuff down. I want all of you to screenshot. When I post up the PowerPoint, use your cell phone or your computer, or whatever it is, to screenshot. Take screenshots of the PowerPoint so that way you can print them out at the end of the class, like the sister did yesterday. She printed out my stuff and was able to. She had the hadith right there that she used with her younger sister. Okay, so now I'm getting ready to go big screen. Here we go. So today we're going to speak about how when we're living in a non-Muslim land, we still have to implement allegiance, show our allegiance to Allah and to this religion. And we have to learn to disassociate, Disassociate from the non-believers. Disassociate from the hypocrites. Disassociate from the people who are ignorant. We still have to do this. And again, this is pages 346 to 349. I got 347. It's 349. I wrote a 7 instead of a 9. So pages 346 to 349 in the blue book. Make sure you open it up. Take a screenshot. This is the first page, and I want y'all to print all the pages out and staple them together and attach them to page 346 so you can review. Okay. I want everybody to ponder the words of Allah. Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, O you who believe, do not take for allies, awliya. I'm going to give y'all the closest, the best English word for that is allies. Do not take allies. And what is an ally? An ally is someone who's a protector or a helper or a friend. So do not take as a helper, a protector, or a friend unbelievers over believers. In other words, do not take for protectors, helpers, or friends. And this is also the verse that is the dalil for voting in elections. Y'all shouldn't have been voting for Obama, the Zionists. This is a Zionist country. Y'all shouldn't vote for any presidents in America. This is a Zionist country. I've been telling y'all that for years. You can't take them, the unbelievers, as friends and protectors and helpers over a believer. And then Allah goes on to say, do you wish to offer Allah a manifest proof against yourselves? What is he saying there? He's saying doing that, you are showing Allah that you are lacking in your belief in him. You're lacking in your allegiance. Like I tell you, all you Muslims that voted for President Obama, y'all going to answer for that. Because, you know, Allah is clear in this verse. We can't have non-Muslims as guardians over us, protectors over us like that. They can't represent us. Doing that shows you're proving that your allegiance is not correct. So to be negligent in showing allegiance to Allah, one of the ways of doing that is by taking the non-Muslims as friends over other Muslims. Now, if we had a Muslim running for president, that's different. If there was a Muslim man running to be president of the United States, we'd all go out and vote for him because he's a Muslim. He has our interests at heart. But to vote for a non-Muslim, that don't happen because they all have the same interests against us. Like Allah says in another verse of the Quran, they will never accept you. Never accept you. They will never have our interests, our best interests at heart. And Obama proved that because he was the one that gave the weapons to Israel during his reign. Okay? So our allegiance should be to the Muslims, not over non-Muslims. And the Quran is warning us against this. This verse emphasizes the importance of maintaining allegiance with Muslims and avoiding the non-Muslims as protectors and helpers and friends over them. Also, this verse is warning that actions like this will be a proof against yourself. It'll show that something's wrong in your Wal Bara. Something's wrong in your allegiance. And then we have to remember that we're Muslims. And as Muslims, if we would stop dealing with fatwa, and if we would instead get back to learning those hadiths, which most Muslims today don't know, the Quran and the hadiths call upon us to prioritize our allegiance to the Muslims and to avoid associating with non-Muslims like that. Like I told y'all, we deal with them from a distance. We're nice to them. We're kind to them. We're respectful and we help them in some good causes. But am I going to take them as a protector over me? As a president, ruler over me? They can never be rulers over me. Okay? So we have to be cautious and mindful of this. Make sure y'all take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this whole page. That's the verse of the Quran, and there's the explanations. Okay? Also in another verse, Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, if they believed in Allah and in the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what has been sent to the Prophet, they would never have taken a non-Muslim as a protector or helper. But many of these people are disobedient to Allah and sinful and rebellious. And that's what I've always said about Muslims in America who vote in presidential elections. If they believe in Allah and the Prophet, they would never succumb to that. They would know better. They would know better. You know, I was a union steward for 36 years. Whenever anybody at the job got in trouble, who would they come to? Me, because I was the best union steward in the state in my department. Best legal investigator too. Oh, I'm a good investigator. Y'all know that. Trained. Okay? They would always come to me when they in trouble. But let an election go. If there was an election for president, they would never support me. They would never choose me. They would choose an employee who only been hired and don't know nothing about the contract. They would choose them as president over me. Why? Because it's like Allah said, they will never accept us. They will never have our best interests. I knew that. And that's why I've told you guys, don't participate in those presidential elections. Some people listen, but the ones who didn't, look at them. They're the ones who are rebellious. They're the ones that smoke cigarettes too. They're the ones that deliberately, intentionally pick and choose what they want to in this religion anyway. Or they were just ignorant, didn't know any better. So we have to seek the true knowledge and understanding of this deen and do what Allah says do. Obey Allah, obey the Prophet, and keep our opinions out. What did Allah say? What did the Prophet say? What understanding did the companions have? That's it. You ain't got to go no further. A lot of people ask me, Sister Layla, you never teach from a madhab. I don't have to. I don't have to. Because I'm going to tell you what Allah said. And I'm going to tell you what the Prophet said. If the Prophet didn't mention it, just like we did yesterday with that issue of masturbation again. No, the Prophet Muhammad didn't say nothing about it. That should have told you right there it's lawful because Allah told us everything that's haram. He didn't forget anything. He told us clearly what we cannot do sexually. The fact that Allah never mentioned that and the Prophet never mentioned that. And also, we got some hadiths right there in Sahih Muslim. Some of the companions would go out to war and they would masturbate. The Prophet never said anything to them about it. Masturbation ain't new, but y'all got to learn them hadiths. Stop learning scholars and learn the Sunnah. Yeah, the companions say the Prophet never reprimanded them for that. Okay? Like Ibn Abbas said, Ibn Umar, Az-Zubair, Aisha and them said, it ain't nothing but, releasing water. It ain't nothing but rubbing a part of your body. That's not the same as adultery or fornication. Are you people crazy? So if it's something that's, first of all, the fact that Allah didn't mention it, the fact that the Prophet didn't mention it, and the fact that Allah detailed in everything to us about what we can't do sexually, that should tell you it's lawful. I don't care what nobody else's opinion is. Can't nobody supersede Allah. But since you want to ask, I'm going to look to see what the companions said. I'm talking the original ones. I'm talking Abu Bakr. I'm talking Umar. I'm talking Ibn Abbas, the prophet's wives. And I ain't got to go no further than that. I don't have to go no further than that. But I can. Hassan al-Basri said ain't nothing wrong with it too. Or I can take it all the way to the third generation. But I ain't got to go past Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, Aisha, Az-Zubair, Said al-Khudri. Said al-Khudri was the one that said the prophet didn't say nothing about us doing it when we were fighting. But see, I know the hadiths. We got to learn this religion, guys. Get back to the hadiths. Get back to the sunnah. Get back to the understanding of the companions and not the understanding of a madhab. Because the madhabs don't know nothing over those companions. When Ibn Abbas speaks, I don't care what Ibn Malik said. Imam Malik said. May Allah forgive him of his sins, and I love him. If Aisha speaks, I could care less what a Shafi or anybody else said, because they don't know this religion better than those original companions. Y'all got it? So Islam teaches us that faith, part of your iman is you got to know when to hold and know when to fold. Just like I'm not going to accept anyone's view over a law when it comes to lawful and unlawful, and that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just like I'm not going to accept anybody's opinion over those original companions, I'm definitely not going to choose no non-Muslim over a Muslim. We have to learn how to prioritize things as Muslims, guys. And this verse here of the Quran highlights the importance of putting our faith in Allah and his prophet and the believers. It highlights how we're supposed to submit to this. Many people who consider non-Muslims to be their friends. This is wrong. How many of you have non-Muslims as your personal friend? This is wrong. Okay, we can't get that close with them. When you take non-Muslims as your personal friends, it shows that your iman is weak. Because again, their lifestyle is not like us. They smoke, they drink, they fornicate, they support homosexuality, they support Israel, all kind of stuff. Subhanallah. So when we're living in a non-Muslim land, we have to still implement Wal Bara. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. And by the way, I put this here too, because one of the sisters in the group that's arguing, they're arguing about living in America. I have an Arab sister here. I don't know why she thinks living where she live is better, because there's so much fitna going over there in the Emirates. It ain't funny. Didn't y'all just celebrate Christmas? Yeah, I heard about it. Okay, the Emirates ain't no better. But there's a lot of Arabs that think it's haram to live in a non-Muslim populated land. Listen to this. Allah says, in the interpretation of the meaning, for those whom the angels take in death while they were wronging themselves because they lived amongst the non-Muslims, the angels will say to them, what condition were you in? They will say, we were weak and oppressed on earth. The angels will say, was not the earth of Allah spacious enough for you to migrate to? We have to understand, guys, Allah does not forbid us from living anywhere on this earth. As Muslims, we can live anywhere on this planet as long as we are able to practice our religion openly. That's why the Muslims left Mecca and went to Abyssinia, because they were allowed to practice their religion there openly. They left Mecca, went to Medina because they were allowed to practice their religion openly. So we can live anywhere, on this earth as long as we are able to practice our religion openly. Sometimes you got to make hijrah from an Arabic country to a Western country because it's so bad. Look at what all the oppression, the oppressive rulers that we have in these Muslim lands, they don't want you to practice the religion correctly either, especially if they got you telling you that women can call the adhan. Some of these Muslim Arabic countries, they got women calling the adhan and leading the men in prayer. Oh, I'm going to migrate. You think I want to wake up to some woman calling the adhan? I'm going to migrate and take my behind to America. Because America, the only one that call the adhans in our mosques are men. So Allah tells us to move. The earth is spacious. The only time, that we have to really look at where we move into is if we're moving to a place where we cannot practice our religion. Everybody understand that? Very important. And for those of us who don't move to a place on the earth where we can practice the religion openly, the angels are going to ask you about it. When they take your soul from your body, they're going to ask you, wasn't Allah's earth spacious? Why didn't you move somewhere where you could practice? If it bothered you to look out the window and see women walking around with no clothes on, why didn't you move somewhere else? Why didn't you move to Saudi Arabia? Why didn't you move someplace else? Take a screenshot of all this. Okay? So now, I'm going to give you guys a quick little brief quiz just to see if you understand. I want y'all to ponder this question here. Sarah, she wants her children to be around other good children. So she allows her children to play with non-Muslim kids because the Muslim kids, they're too racist and disrespectful. The Muslim kids make fun of her child and they're disrespectful. So she tells her, go play with the non-Muslims. Plus those Muslim kids don't even pray. What do y'all think about this? Is there nothing wrong with this, or is there something wrong with this? And if there is something wrong with it, what's wrong? Who can answer that? Come on, guys. I got another class too. We got Brother Mukhtar's class. So come on. Is there anything wrong with this? And if so, what? Take the mic, people. Come on, guys. I got another class.
There's something wrong with this, but it's not okay with it wrong.
Okay. Oh, good job. One of the children, the adults can't answer. So the kids are. Okay, yeah, there's something wrong with it. Do you know what's wrong with this? What's wrong? She's allowing her children to play with the non-Muslim kids because she thinks that's better for them. What's wrong with that?
They're not Muslims, but we're supposed to play with Muslims.
Exactly. This is an issue of Wal Bara, allegiance. A bad Muslim is 100 times better than a so-called good kafir. Y'all understand that? If she allows her children to play with the non-Muslims, they're going to end up adapting non-Muslim ideas, non-Muslim actions, non-Muslim behavior, like many of you adults have done living here in America. You into women's rights, and picking and choosing, you want to go out and work instead of stay home and take care of your kids. Oh yeah. Association brings about assimilation. I'd rather have my child play with a Muslim kid that don't pray, but knows that praying is an obligation, than have my Muslim kid pray with a kafir who don't believe in praying or anything. So we never choose the non-Muslims. And you living in America, we have to know how to separate and make the distinction, the difference. Good job, Sabrina. What about this, guys? There are good kafirs and bad kafirs, and we should seek out the good ones to befriend. Is that statement true or false?
The statement is false. There's no good kafirs, because if they were good, then they would be Muslim.
Exactly. And it's just that simple. I have to remind a lot of people this. There's no such thing as a good kafir. The Prophet Muhammad, I want y'all to ponder this authentic hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, never refer to a non-believer with a title, a name of title. Never refer to a non-believer as being intelligent or a good person. He said, because if they were that smart, that great, and such a good person, they would accept La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That hadith is authentic. Okay? And I have to remind Muslims all the time, there's no good kafirs. They're all bad. They're all bad. Unless they declare La ilaha illallah, they're the same. Subhanallah. And then here's the last question. How would you respond to the Muslim that says it's haram to live in a non-Muslim land? There are some fanatical Muslims that tell you that. They say it's haram to live in America, for example.
I would say, give me proof from the Quran.
Okay, but I want, yeah, that's also true, but I want an explanation. How would you respond to the Muslim that says it's haram to live in a non-Muslim land, guys? Come on, we just talked about it.
This is
Go ahead.
the earth belongs to Allah, so we can live anywhere we want.
Exactly. Y'all see how these children learn these hadiths? That's y'all problem. Y'all just give smart mouth answers and keep it moving. No, we got to be able to answer with intelligence like these kids. Allah says the earth belongs to him, and that's the hadith we just went over. That's also a verse in the Quran. Allah says when the angels pull your soul, they're going to ask you, was not Allah's earth spacious? So where's your evidence? You have to explain that first, Lucy. Then you say, where's your evidence? But first you got to explain what Allah says. Everybody understand the earth is spacious. The earth belongs to Allah. It doesn't belong to you or me. Okay, last question. How do we implement allegiance and disassociation in a non-Muslim land? We live in America. How do we implement it? How do we implement it in a non-Muslim land? Come on, all of you live in America. How do y'all implement it here? If y'all doing what y'all supposed to do as good parents, how do you implement allegiance and disassociation here? Come on, people.
We keep close and associate with those things that are for Allah, and we disassociate those things that are against the law, that are against his teachings, that he wants us to follow.
Exactly.
Also.
Exactly. This is why we talked about the importance of having and belonging to an Islamic community. You got to find a good, strong Islamic community, and that's upon the Quran wa Sunnah, and attach yourself to it. Attach yourself to the Muslims there. And then you have to know that we're kind and we can participate in stuff like pantry drives and, feed the homeless. We can do that. But we got to also know when to distance ourselves too. We're not going to let our children mix with them. And we're not going to mix with them in entertainment things. Business is business. But as far as hanging out, we're going to have to disassociate. And even with the Muslims, I'm gonna associate with the strong ones who know their deen. But it all begins with finding a good Islamic community. Having a good Islamic community is everything. Okay, Subhanallah.